welcome to Project Passion, the podcast made to inspire you to follow your passion and turn to a successful business or career. Just before we get started this week, I want to give a shout out to Anchor's a new sponsor on the podcast. Also, thank you for last week. The episode absolutely smashed. The ratings are through the roof on it. So hopefully get to see him this week. I am excited to have Jack and Russell from Northern Garage punk band Fighting Rhythm on the show. How's it going, lads?
How's it going?
Thanks for coming on. Do you want to just kind of introduce yourself, introduce the band, tell people who you are?
Right, so I'm Jack. I'm the lead singer and songwriter of Fighting Rhythm. This is Russell.
Yeah, I play guitar in Fighting Rhythm as well.
And there's another two of us usually, but we're filming this on a phone in my backyard and they wouldn't fit, and they're less important, so it doesn't.
Yeah, we're the two that actually write the songs. So,
just get that in there now,
yeah,
just so people know.
Just piss them off a bit. Come on.
But yeah, that's us.
Awesome. So, look, obviously, you guys have only been together for just about a year and a half now, is it?
I think it's just over a year now, isn't it?
In March, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So just coming up to like a year. Yeah, just over a year.
Awesome. So, how did you guys meet in the first place? I assume you were doing your own thing before you came together as a group.
Yeah, well, so me and the bass player, he's called Just Sean. We were in another band together, and so we played together for a while. I've known Jack for years. And Dale, who plays drums, we've known him for years as well. Me and Dale had always talked about doing something, so we'd had a jam, and then nothing came of it. This was about 2 years ago now, and then me and we brought Sean down to a practice. We were writing these tunes that were great, but there was no vocals on it.
None of them can sing.
Yeah, none of them can sing or write lyrics. So I've got a very limited vocabulary. So then, we tried a few different people who were a bit better. We're a bit busy. So
that's the first time I've ever heard that they tried people before they got to me, by the way. So I'll accept I was third choice, whatever, but that's fine. But I'd been 10th choice. I'd been in an acoustic folk duo for like 5 years prior to this. So they'd asked me to come down and have a jam, and it ended up just kind of working because we're all into very similar kind of stuff anyway. And like I say, we'd all known each other from like the pub. We've all been in band for like the last kind of 5-10 years in like the local music scene in Blackburn where we're from. So it all just kind of made sense, really.
Of course. So new album, Pessimistic by Default, dropped on the 31st of January there. It made it on the Deco Records Lockdown playlist. What's the reaction you've got coming off that?
Yeah, man, everyone buzzed off it because we got like an alright local following. Because like Jack said, we go to the pub a lot, so we knew a lot of people from the pub. So all the people from the pub kind of came to watch it and kind of got into it. And we did a few gigs with Skint and Demoralised. So that's a guy called Matt Abbott, and he's a really good poet. He actually did the Jeremy Corbyn poem.
Yeah, for their campaign.
Yeah, for their campaign and everything. He's a proper nice guy. He does the comparing at a local festival. So we know Matt, and we got on a few gigs with him, with his band. And we played Liverpool and Leeds, and it was kind of the following spread out a bit over that as well, which was good for us.
There's always been a thing. It's like you can play to a home crowd as much as you want, but if you're playing to the same, can you swear on this?
Yeah, fuck that, fire ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So we're playing to the same fucking people, day in, day out, week out, playing to all your mates in the same fucking pubs. You're not gonna get anywhere. So I think we're very keen from the get go to not just play in the same places to the same people over and over again. Like I've always been of the mindset, I'd rather travel 200 fucking miles and play to 20 people in a pub who've never seen us before than play to 200 of my mates in a local venue. Do you know what I mean? Because that's not, you reach new people. Do you know what I mean?
It's the only way to grow.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. And we were lucky because we've all been in bands before. We all kind of had these contacts that have been through our first couple of gigs, we were getting good gigs already, which is normally you work your way up the bottom gigs. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course.
But it was we did all right to get our foot on the ladder a bit. Well, we did all right before this happened. The whole pandemic happened. This podcast. Before all this, and we were we were talking about before, we managed to get 4 dates with the Levelers,
which is big,
which is huge for us. And then that's cancelled, isn't it? Now? That's why we're sat about yard and not in LA.
So the whole thing to take away from this will be is we feel like we were doing really fucking well, and then the world got shut down, so everything's just on pause. You know what I mean? I
mean, I'm pretty sure everyone feels that. I think everyone was set for pretty much a bang in 2020, and then this kind of kicked everyone in the face.
No, but it's like know so many people who play regularly and stuff. I mean, and this is kind of going off a bit of a tangent, but like people who play a lot and music's like all they do, been really kind of unsettling for a lot of people, because when you go from like say Russell plays in another band as well, and obviously if you're used to doing something musical 4 or 5 times a week, to go from that to doing nothing.
Well, we've got a lot of friends as well, like engineers and stuff like that, and I was messaging them over this lockdown, and they've gone from being self-employed kind of sound engineers on these big tours, doing like going around Europe, getting all this, like doing all right for themselves, and then to just go to absolutely nothing, just sat at home for fun.
So it's been tough.
Exactly. So, like, how long did it actually take you to record the album or the EP? How long was it writing that, and how long recording?
The song we ever wrote, it's called the British Milkshake Party, which is on came off the back of Nigel Farage getting his head fucking wet. You know what I mean? And in a town centre somewhere. Well, there's our local festival, Darwin Live, it's called. We were playing our first ever gig at that, and we'd written the song maybe a day or so before that. So we rehearsed it, and we just thought, fuck it, we'll put it out as a single, because we've got a studio in our rehearsal space. So we wrote the song, we recorded it, mastered it, and released it in like a day and a half, 2 days, and then we released that on our first gig. So that was our first one, and then obviously the EP that we've got on Spotify now, Pessimistic by Default. We did that over, I think, probably again only about 4 days. Yeah, it was recorded in maybe 3 or 4 days recording.
Yeah, well, the thing is, when we're writing songs, it's kind of like there's never been a plan to write a song. No. Like nobody ever comes with a song. We turn up at practice, and it's like one of the songs on the EP is called Circles, and we turned up at practice. I started playing the riff just as Dale was still setting these cymbals up, and I found the original recording the other day on an old phone, and so I've started playing it, and Dale's playing, and Sean's still plugging his synth in, like on the original recording. And we wrote the song in about 8 minutes, and then the recording from the exact same. Like we go in, and we just
that's good.
That sounds good. Yeah, that's the tip. Like, why try it again if it sounds good?
But I think it's part of the music, because a lot of the music and songs are about kind of what we'd like to think are like current things, or things that we're like pissed about, or what's going on in the world and stuff like that. Not to make it all sound too fucking cliche, but some people say they're right. But things that are happening within our spheres as well, things that are affecting us personally. It's the way we write, I think, reflects that. It's like, go in, this is what's happening, let's write a song about it now, and then we go from there.
Of course. And I think you said we can play a little clip as well.
Yeah, of course. You can put some little clips into this, that'll be grand.
So we'll drop a clip of Circles in then, so we will as well for anyone listening.
We're destined to fail if the snake is his tail. He'll probably swallow it down. What goes around must come around. The circles we run, burn holes in the ground. I'm on fire. What goes around must come around. The circles we run, burn holes in the ground. I'm on fire.
That's my personal favourite, because it's the one that I spent the most time on. Yeah, I didn't write it in 20 minutes on train on way to practice. No, I spent some time on that one. But we've all said, like, out of all the bands we've been in, it's the easiest band to write songs in that anyone's ever been in.
Like, most of the time we recorded, so we booked in like weekend slots to record. And I know this is a podcast about like being great and being managing. Like everything I'm going to say is like the complete opposite of managing your time well. It's like, so we booked in these weekends, and I think the first time we'd done it, so we'd gone in and we'd recorded all 5 songs. There were 4 songs we'd done. 4 songs, like guitar, bass, and drums, within 5-6 hours. Like, that was done. And then we started some vocals, and then we all went out on the piss that night. And then the next day definitely didn't happen. So we didn't record, and it gets put on to the next 2 weekends.
No, I think I said, I'm ready to record all my vocals now. When all the guitar, and by the time they'd done the 5 hours to write all, I was absolutely hammered. So I recorded the vocals, and then we listened back to them, and it's just like slurs between every phrase. And like, we're gonna have to do all of them.
So I think the EP, like, so we had to send the EP off. So I think it was, let's say, the 14th of December. We had to send the EP off, so they definitely mastered in time to put on Spotify to be out for the 1st of Jan. I think we were still recording vocals like the week, like a couple of days before it was mastering. So Sean's really good at mixing everything.
The guy who plays like bass, synth in our band.
So like, when we were sat there for like and just mixing these tracks, and we're there till like early hours, and I'm just going insane. Like, cause I don't know what I'm doing with that stuff. So I'm just listening to the same chunk of a song over and over again. So I couldn't actually listen to the EP when it came out because I hated it.
I think that's something we're really proud of as well, is that we've recorded, mixed, we sent it off for some mastering, but we've recorded and mixed everything ourselves off that EP in our own studio. Like, and that's compliments I get off that. It's not necessarily about, oh, that's a really good song. It's people who go like, you can't tell that that's a self-released record, or people who like have got some experience saying that sounds so good for it being self-produced. You know what I mean? That's
100%. I mean, that's something as well that people don't realize. So I mean, you'll know because you do music. Then we discussed this in my podcast with Kevin a couple of weeks ago. Like when someone releases music and you listen to it, and usually you're kind of like, yeah, like that's all right, and then but then when you listen to your stuff, it doesn't sound self-recorded, really. It sounds like it's been properly done. You can hear the difference in the song.
So that's what we try. I think in this day and age and everything like that, nobody gives you money to do anything anymore. There's no like big record label's going to like turn you into the next big thing.
Yeah, we'll take a chance on you and give you 10 grand to record an album.
Yeah, it's all, you have to learn how to be self-sufficient with it all and learn how to do that. So
make your own posters, do all your own promotion. Everything. All that kind of stuff is done by yourself.
That's why, like, I spend loads of money collecting amps. Like, I collect guitars and amps and stuff like that. So we've got all these different tones and everything like that. You have to invest in doing, because and in the hope that one day you might end up getting it back, and it kind of pays for itself, if anything.
The juxtaposition is as well, people say like, oh, it's easier than ever now to promote your music because you've got Facebook, social media and stuff like that. But the reality is, because every fucker's doing that on the platforms, whatever you're doing gets lost in the noise of everyone else's shit. So
and all the algorithms.
In reality, if you think back to the throwbacks where gigs were listed in music magazines, people put up posters that spent a lot of time on. If people's only way of reading about good music was in a music magazine, if your music had a little advert in that magazine, the people were 10 times more likely to see it and be interested in it than they are seeing a pesky little fucking ad on Facebook underneath, like buying out to buy like a hat for your fucking dog or something. Do you know what I mean? Like. It was specific to people who wanted music back then.
We're going to start getting Wish.com adverts for our music. I'm just waiting. I'm scrolling across the funny things I see on Wish, and it's REP. Some knockoff version. That's the dream, really.
But we're really chuffed with how it's turned out. We are really proud of it, to be honest. So.
That's it. 'Cause, I mean, that's why, like what you said there about having it all together and being like well put together. I mean, that's not even what the podcast about. The podcast is 100% about what you're doing. Like, it doesn't matter how successful you're being. It's the fact that you are trying to turn what you love into like your career. And like you say, you're putting money into it. You're putting your time into it, and that is what it's about. It's just about actually trying to do what it is you actually love to do.
Of course, but it's also about being realistic as well. Since so many people over the years who are like so convinced that what they're doing is going to be so big. For some people, it works. Don't get me wrong. You look at people over the course of time. Look at like a band like Brian Jonestown Massacre and Anton what's his face. He was so convinced that he was going to be a famous musician that eventually he became a famous musician. But that only happened for a very select amount of people with the right amount of drive. So I think people who lose sight of actually just fucking enjoying it and become all about like, oh, I'm doing it because you see people who do that, the passion just disappears very quickly.
Like you've got to put the time in. Like some of us more than others, as there's only two of us here. So if anyone's going to make it, it's going to be us.
And you as well. And you're
in the band. You're in the band. Welcome.
Well,
this is Johnny.
You've already mentioned it, and I wanted to ask the British Milkshake Party single, right? Now, I read an interview you guys done that you referred to this song as a big fuck you to Brexit, the Brexit Party, the Tories, and Boris's henchmen of the apocalypse.
Yeah. Yes. We threw a lot of names in there. I didn't write that, but I like it.
I don't know. I probably wrote that. Like,
that was a good interview.
Everyone.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, if you do listen to it, as you have listened to it yourself, you'll obviously find there's a lot of like left-leaning stuff in it because we're all left-leaning. Do you know what I mean?
We still like people who are left, who are dicks, we'll hate them
You're
as
still
well.
going to be a nice person, though.
Yeah, you're still going to be a nice person. Like, if you were left, I voted, but you swatted one of our mates. So,
Yeah.
we're not going to like you.
But I think it's what we that is very, very obviously fucking anti whatever Brexitorial, like all the things you've just mentioned.
Fascist.
But there's about like disguising those things in songs in a way that again isn't trying to force it down people's throats. Because
apart from the British Milkshake Party.
apart from that one,
because
apart from that one,
is throwing that so far down your throat that you choke.
yeah. But like that's I think with thing is like anything. I personally wouldn't like anybody to try and force what they believe in on me. So if I can disguise what I believe in my music effectively without people feeling like fucking hell, all he's singing about is being left wing. Like I wouldn't want to be, oh, that's that left wing band who just sing about left wing things. I wouldn't want everyone just to be like, that's what it's about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's part of it, but it's all about.
Like we want it to be so you can take the lyrics away and the music's still good.
Yeah, that's it.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
Make it the best. Best thing about it is the lyrics.
So, as you said before, you guys were supposed to open for Levelers end of April, start of May this year. Obviously, it was cancelled.
Yeah.
Where was the gigs? It was 4 dates you were supposed to do with them, wasn't it?
Sheffield, Holmfirth, 2 at Holmfirth. That were back-to-back dates at the Picture Drome, and then 1 down in Coventry. So those were the 4 days. And I mean, I'm assuming. I mean, I don't want to say anything without knowing all details, things like that. I'm assuming they will be going ahead again at some point, but obviously everything's up in the air at the minute. So
they might be going ahead in like 10 years.
Yeah, 2027 or something.
So, but get your tickets soon.
Yeah.
So, what was your biggest gig you've done to date then, or your most favourite gig, for that matter?
I think there's so basically we've got where we live and all our mates in Darwin. There's all our mates opened up a venue, and it's called Sunbird Records, and always playing there is great because it's like you say, like it's all your mates are there. You get pissed. You don't have to drive home that night. Like you leave all your stuff there. It's great, and every time we've played there, it's been packed.
But
out.
we put on like one particular show, it's kind of almost sounds like I'm going against what I said before about not wanting to play at your own crowds all the time. Like, yeah, we don't want to do it, but when you do,
it's great.
It's fucking great because you know that. So we put our own night on. We got like 3 or 4 other bands that we really liked to come and play. We did all the decor in the place. We made it up to look like a really shit kid's birthday party. We like buttons hanging off. So, like got loads of like balloons and shit. Just made it look like one of them right rough birthday parties working men that you used to go to when you were a kid. So we did it up like all that. Got up bands in. Sold tickets on door and stuff. We must have got maybe like 200 of our mates come down. Not just our mates, there'd have been other people who've come in and stuff. And
200 people don't like us. So,
yeah. So it was so obviously we fucking rammed. Everyone were just into it, and crowd were going fucking mental and stuff like that. So that were really good.
That were about this time last year.
Yeah.
And then when the EP come out at the beginning of this year, we did like
EP,
I think there was 5 dates we did in a week. So we'd done Manchester with. That was with Science, a band called Science. Not Science.
Don't ask me.
Shallow Waters. I always get Science and Shallow Waters mixed up. And so we played with them. And then that weekend we'd done another one in Darwin. And we were playing with Strange Bones as well. And Shallow Waters came over for that. And that was great as well because I love watching Strange Bones because they're great.
Yeah,
they're so fucking good. So that were another gig. And then so that was like. Was that the last gig? No, we did we did another one in Leeds just after that, and that was the last gig. And that was a good gig as well in Leeds. But yeah, the last big gig we played was Sunbird again. Yeah, it was fucking good.
Now, is it back open again or still closed?
No, they're still closed because they are just a venue, really, essentially. Like one of those rare places. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can go in of a weekend or whatever and just go there for a drink and have a dance and whatever. They've got tunes on and stuff like that. But they are, by heart, by nature, like a proper grassroots British music venue that try their best to put good bands, up-and-coming bands, really put a lot of effort in. I'm not just saying it because I'm biased because they're our friends and we've known them a long time, but in terms of like the professionalism and passion and like how much they care about what they do there, a very few places I've ever been to that care about it and do as well at it as they do, really.
Yeah.
Big shout out to them.
So, I mean, I've lived up north now here because I don't know if we said this before. So I actually live like right beside Darwin. So I'm in Brinskill village.
You're from Spain, aren't you? I can tell that. I I can tell with the accent you're from.
I'm from where?
Take it, pick.
So
what? So you're right next door.
Yeah, so that's what I was just about to say to you. So I've lived here for 4 months, and you lads seem like proper. What's expected of proper northern lads? What do you sort of think of the music scene around here and around the side of Manchester?
Oh yeah, got the accent.
the music scene around Manchester is great. Like, it's well good. Like, you couldn't ask for it better at the moment. I just think there is a lot of. It's very clicky. It's you have to
know the rap people.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, we're lucky that we know promoters from over the years to get on these gigs. But you'll play on a bill and you will manage to get like third on a bill, right? And then the band like who's on before you and the two bands on after you are all best mates, and you're like they play together all the time. So it's getting in them. And if you don't really live in Manchester, it's hard to get in there.
Like, I mean, it's always been, I think Manchester, it's always been known as a good place for music. But again, as well, I was talking to someone about this the other day. I mean, I've been doing it around Blackburn with Darwin for just over 10 years now, ever since I was a kid. Like, and the amount of decent bands that have come from this part of the country and either gone on to, no one that I've known's gone to do massive things, but done really good things. But I can't sing, honestly, some of the musical talent that's come out from around this part of the world, it's absolutely fucking unreal, honestly. It's got a really good music scene at Blackburn with Darwin. It always has. I mean, it was massive for like the acid house raves in the 90s and stuff. This is where people used to come for all the raves, like
bigger than anywhere.
And there's still a few of the older fellas who were well involved with that back in the day. They still knock around, come to all gigs. So it's like it's like no kind of like generation gap. Everyone who's been involved with music scene in Blackburn for like the last almost like 30, 40 years now, everyone's still fucking knocked around together. So you still see everybody. They can watch the new bands. It's all, you know what I mean? It's quite a supportive community, I think. So
yeah, it's a community aspect.
Definitely.
Yeah. So is there any other bands up and coming at the minute you want to highlight, shout out for anyone that's listening? Obviously go listen to your songs as well. But
Russell's other band, Sky Valley Mistress.
Yeah, my other band, Sky Valley Mistress. I don't really like anyone else. So, no, there's who is there? I feel like everybody's just gone.
Do you know what I mean? Not necessarily our genre, but it's always helpful. And oh, hang on, battery's just going a bit dead.
Yeah,
you're all right.
So you got the Ruby Tuesdays. They're from around here.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
You got Walt.
Good
Foxy, Anadonia.
They're like probably the bands who are like our closest mates from around here.
Who else have we got? Loose Articles as well. They're Manchester
They
band.
play with sometimes. They're really good.
Yeah. Who else is there? There's loads, man.
But I mean, the four that we mentioned first, they're like like people we've been friends with for ages, stuff like that. But their music's all worth different to our kind of music, but worth checking out.
So what's next for you guys? And obviously you mentioned before we came on recording that you have another EP dropping end of the year.
Oh well, so the whole point is as soon as we can kind of like healthily start practicing and recording, like throughout this whole coronavirus thing, is like we've just been like, right, as soon as we get back in the studio, we're just gonna record another fucking EP.
We don't like. The thing is, we don't know if Dale's alive. Like nobody's heard of Dale. Nobody's heard from him.
Drummer's gone AWOL.
Yeah, he's gone. I've seen him. I've seen the back of his head once. I drove past the back of his head, but we don't know if he's actually in the UK, alive, well.
So once we've pinned him down, the idea is to drag him by his ankles back into the studio, glue him to his fucking drum kit, and then so he can't go anywhere, tape him in, and then we'll record an EP. Hopefully, like say, by the end of the year. But another kind of 4 or 5 track, and then next year, hopefully, it'll be album time. So
nice. So have you started considering, I don't know at what point you do this, but have you started considering like managers, sponsors, sort of going down that line yet? Or?
A lot of people say this, but we're very much do it yourselves.
Yeah, the thing is, right, we've all been
fucked over by people.
That's the thing. It's like you don't want to be stuck because at this stage, especially when we've got we're very lucky at this stage. If anything, if you look at it on a silver lining kind of thing, like we've got full control of what happens. Like we'll argue between ourselves about it, but it's like we've got full control and creative decision of everything. Yeah. And all the people involved, you start then things start slipping away. Like if we had this amazing it's like if we had this amazing idea to do something and we're on a record label, it's like the record label like, no, we can't afford that. Whereas it's like if we're on our own and we've got this amazing idea, we'll find cash somewhere. We'll try and find a way to do it.
You've got to remember, it sounds almost kind of like fucking blowing smoke bar on our asses, but like we're nowhere near at a level where we'd be approached by anyone that could offer us anything worthwhile. And that's one thing I will say. If there's anyone listening who's maybe starting the first band or the young band, and someone comes to you and you're still at the stage where you're playing in fucking pubs and that, and they're offering you all this shit, don't fucking listen to them. Tell them to fuck off because they're trying to do you over.
I think even that, like to a certain extent, not even just pubs, like go as far as you can on your own, because the more you can do on your own, when you actually get so far that you get a manager, you get a label, it's like you'll know if they're fucking you over then.
Yeah.
You know,
you need to be savvy, because there are a lot of like fucking sharks out there who'll look at younger bands who are really 100%. Passionate, and they'll be like, right, so what you did is you give me 500 quid now, and I'll get you in this studio that Such a Body recorded their last album in, and I'll really, do you know what? I've seen it happen to loads of young bands. You get loads of these like predators out there who are trying to just do people out of money. So you've got to be really savvy. And like I said, because we've been doing it so long, we're very happy just to let it run its natural course. And then, you know, if we get to a point where we think, someone offers us something really good, whatever. But at the minute, very happy doing it ourselves.
And you haven't, I assume, got any tour dates or any gigs booked in for this year yet? Still just waiting.
Oh, that's the thing,
no,
man.
Nothing.
Like, these levels dates, we might end up getting them again if that gets sorted. But there's no point even looking to book any gigs yet. It's a waste of our time making a tour poster. Like, you know, cancelled again, isn't it? I know a few bands who've like, we're supposed to do tours in August and they rebooked them for December, and now they've rebooked them for March.
It's just not worth the hassle.
Now they're cancelled as well.
Well, as soon as we know that we can steadily book gigs again, we'll probably, if we do another EP end of this year, we'll be looking to maybe sort out like a mini tour at the first quarter of next year again, like we did this year. 4 or 5 dates around the country just to tour the EP and stuff. So,
nice. So what sort of music would you say yours actually sounds like for other people, and what sort of bigger, well-known artist would you say you sound like?
Like, you know, you get home from a night out,
what are you going to say?
You've just got the horrible ringing in your ears. Yeah, it's just like that, man.
No, it's not like that. But, no, so what are you saying? Like, what bands do we like? Or what
bands do you like? Yeah, that you would take a sort of sound as inspiration from.
We're massively into we like Idols, like Fontaine's DC.
So I love Ty Segall like so much. There's all that post-punk stuff, man. Like, we're so into that, and there's so many bands like that are coming up now, and you're just like.
But I mean, with this eclectic mix, like I really love my favorite all-time favorite bands are the Doors. So obviously that doesn't necessarily directly influence what I do now, but in terms of like the way I look at lyrics and things, you know, that kind of stuff from like the early 70s has definitely had a massive influence on the way that I've approached music anyway. But I think, and every band you ever ask that question will always tell you this: we try not to sound like anybody else. We're trying to be original. Do you know what I mean? As much as you can do. But it is that very, you know, fucking really rhythmic fucking drums driving it, heavy riffs, like shouty lyrics, all that kind of stuff.
Because we like Idols and everyone like that, it was like there's a lot of bands trying to do that at the moment. So that's why we got we don't have a bass. We've got Moog bass, like a synth bass, which adds that it just changes. It just takes it to a different like ball game.
Makes it a bit different. You're always looking to be as original as you can be. Do you know what I mean? Without being you gotta just try and be as original as you can. Without playing guitar with your feet.
And I mean, it might just be my untuned ear because I'm not very musical other than a bit of guitar, but it sounds like, you know, your songs are actually quite different when you listen to them one after another. There is a very distinct difference in them all.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. And that comes from never going into a room thinking we've got to write a song about this now. Like they're all just like riffs that have been messed around with and stuff. But that's again, like you say, it's off that EP. Every song there's something different for everybody like to listen to. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, you can only go off the people that you know's opinions, but friends' opinions are talked about it. Every single one of them has a different favourite song. It's not like all of them have said, "Oh, I like that one," which shows it's kind of proves that it caters to people's different musical taste, which is always positive.
Exactly. So, any sort of final words, shout-outs, tips for anyone else that wants to start recording and mixing their own music?
Try and get into like recording as much as you can. Like learn how to do that yourself. You can get GarageBand on any laptop, or like you can buy you can download free software for loads of stuff. Just get a little interface and like learn how to record yourself. Start making tunes, and just do as much of it yourself. Learn how to make artwork. learn how to like mix all your own stuff, learn how to meet promoters, learn how to like do all that. It's just like because then you'll make your own
But like, and do what you enjoy though. Don't do things because you think you should be doing it. Don't do things because other people are telling you should be doing it. Do what you enjoy, because the minute you start doing things because you think it might just be a good opportunity or whatever, you'll fucking fall out of love with it and you'll hate it. So don't do that. Do what you enjoy, not what other people tell you should enjoy.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, that's it, man. Thank you very much for having us on.
Thank you very much.
No problem, lads. Thank you very much for coming on. And I mean, obviously, you're going to have gigs coming up and that there. When you get yourself set again, come back on again. Let people know what you've got going on.
Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. If you want to follow us, any gigs that we do get in the future will be posted on those websites.
Of course, and that's at Fighting Rhythm. It'll be on screen. Links will all be below, no matter where you're listening to it. And that's it for this week, guys. Then, so obviously, thank you for listening in again this week. Also, there is going to be another ad at the end of the video. If you have a spare 45 seconds, please listen to it. I get paid if you listen to it. And also listen out at the end of the video as well. There's a special new outro. If anyone has ever seen YouTuber Jackmate, it's a custom outro from him for the channel. And if you're enjoying the podcast, I'd really appreciate if you could hit follow wherever you're listening to it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe. It does help. I really appreciate it. And make sure you go follow Fighting Rhythm. As I said, links will all be in the description below. Catch you next week.
Hello guys, how you doing? It's me, Jack, mate. You've just finished watching probably one of the best videos on YouTube. So why not take a moment to consider subscribing? And if you haven't already, hit the like button and turn the notification bell on. Apparently it helps. I don't know how. It was good to know, wasn't it?